Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of African Women Empowerment Network. Today we are privileged and honored and humbled to be joined by David Etale. David is a British Army veteran, born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya. He was a professional football player before joining the British Army. David is currently a motivational speaker and is joining us from Edinburgh, United Kingdom, Scotland rather, in the United Kingdom. Welcome, David.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I am Catherine Jenga, all the way in London, United Kingdom. Let us know where you're joining us, our audience. We appreciate you once again for joining us. Today we are talking about finding courage in adversity. So David, tell us, who is David Etale for those who do not know you?
David Etale is David Etale. I was born in Kenya, born and raised in Kenya.
Right.
I started my football career when I was very young, and then played the professional football for some years before deciding to join the British Army.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So tell us about your football career. How long did you play for?
Ooh, those are some few years back, so I can't really recall how many years I played the game for.
Oh, okay.
The football in Kenya was not. David Etale is.
Apologies for that. Sorry.
Is in Kenya, playing football is a sport that wasn't paying really well.
Okay.
So you find so many players were struggling to make ends meet. And I was just one of them who couldn't make ends meet, and I got the opportunity to join the British Army, and I didn't even think twice about it, because it's something that at that particular moment in time when it came around, I had so many things going on at that particular moment in time in Kenya, so that was my only choice, and I thank God for giving me that opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. So, which year did you join the army? Which year did you join the British Army?
End of 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
End of 2006. And how long did you serve with the British Army?
Served for 10 years.
10 years. So you finished in 2016. Would you be able to tell us which regiments you served with in your 10 years in the army?
Yeah. I served with 3 rifles.
Okay.
We were currently based in Cyprus before we moved back to Edinburgh.
Right.
Yeah, so I left the forces in 2017 after being medically discharged because of the rehab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Would you say when you served with 3 rifles, what sort of regiments were you? I know there's different, for those who do not know, there's different careers in the army. People might just think that every soldier does the same thing in the army. Would you say what cap badge you are, if I may say that?
The cap badge was the rifles.
Okay.
Then, I was in the infantry regiment.
All right. Okay. Right. So David, when did you get deployed to Afghanistan? And when did you do your tour of Afghanistan?
2009, 2010.
2010, 2009.
Yeah.
Right. And would you say, how was your time in Afghanistan?
My time in Afghanistan was pretty rough and hectic, because when we got deployed there, it was, I think, in the history of the British Army, there's no regiment that has suffered more losses and more injuries like the way we suffered.
Okay.
And
okay.
We took over from 2 rifles.
Yeah.
And we did, it was a summer tour.
You did a summer tour?
Yeah.
And I know you talk about a man who was like a father figure to you. I've heard you talk about him, and I hope you don't mind. Would you tell us more about this man?
Yes. This guy was the guy who trained me to become the soldier I was.
Okay.
And he was actually like a father figure to me because there's so many things that I learned from him. And it was quite unfortunate that I never thought, or it never even crossed my mind that when we deployed to Afghanistan, he would be the first person to get killed in action. So it took a huge toll on me because he was one of the best soldiers that I can ever recall to have ever worked with. And him being just the first casualty to suffer an IED blast and lose his life instantly was just heartbreaking for me. And it's something that kept on playing on my mind every single time. So that one hit home very differently. Yeah.
So I hope I'm sure you've gotten some counseling about the things you're talking about. So it would be good if I just ask those questions. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. Have you been in a battle war zone and here's your mentor, a man that you look up to, and you lose him in the war zone, and yet you are in the war zone to perform, to do something. How did that play with your mind? How did that do for you? How did that, yeah.
Many soldiers would relate to me is that, when you're on the front line and you're fighting the enemy, when such things happen, you tend to put your emotions to the side, because I lost so many people, so many good brothers of mine, and so many others got injured just like the same way I did. But when you're in that situation, you put your emotions aside because you have a job to do.
Okay.
So the emotions, they start coming in when you finished your patrol for the day and you're back at your camp base.
Yeah.
That's when you sit down and realize that, my big brother or my brother who sleeps with me in the same room, he's no longer there.
Wow.
So actually the mental side of it doesn't kick in until when you leave the battlefield, when you're back in the UK.
Okay.
Because you find so many people, they have different conceptions and perceptions about us as soldiers. They always think that, we fight because of what is in front of us, but people forget that we don't fight because of what's in front of us. We fight because of what's behind us, and those are the families and the citizens to have a peaceful and walk freely on the streets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite touching, David. Yeah, I know the families who have members of the army. It's not easy, and I always say that, and you're not fighting, like you say, you're fighting for the people on the streets, the people back home, to keep them safe. So anyway, our audience, once again, thank you for joining us today. We are having a Father's Day special. We just want to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day, those who are present, those who are still caring for their children, whether they are near or far away. Happy Father's Day. And I just want to wish my father, Mr. Mbogo, happy Father's Day, and the father of my children, Mr. Jenga, happy Father's Day, and David as well, happy Father's Day, and to all our audience, happy Father's Day. So David, yes, so you went to Afghanistan and you suffered a life-changing injury. And I keep saying to you, I find you very brave and courageous, that even though what you've gone through, you still chose to carry on. And I can only imagine what this did to you. So tell us about that day when you suffered this injury, the events.
I can't remember the exact date that it was, but I remember that previous night, before you normally go for a patrol the next day, they normally call you in, and then you go to the briefing room, they tell you where you're going to go, approximate how many enemies are going to be there. So in this case, the Taliban, and the place where we were going was pretty hostile that day. So I remember I went back to my room after the briefing and I couldn't get sleep. I couldn't sleep at all because I I was just having a bad feeling. There was this bad feeling inside me that, you know what, the patrol that we are going, it's not going to be quite good.
Yeah.
So that day, I remember I woke up, read my Bible, and then in the morning when we left the camp base about 6 a.m. in the morning, I was working in a special unit called the fire support. So the fire support is a section of a section of a company where they support the ground troops, because we deal with the heavy artilleries, like the heavy machine guns, the missiles and things like that. So
Okay.
protecting and looking over the troops who are doing the patrol. And I remember that day I was driving a vehicle, which is called a Jacko vehicle.
Okay.
And that vehicle is, it's open at the top, and it's got one heavy machine gun at the back, and we've got one light machine gun at the front.
Okay.
And I remember that day when we were looking over the troops, everything was quiet. It was pretty quiet. Nothing was happening until when one of my friends who was at the back with a heavy machine gun said that he's bored and he would like some action.
He's looking for action.
Yeah. And then are you sure that's what you want? Because don't say that it's been so quiet today and I want to go back to camp peacefully. Yeah. So we didn't even finish 5 minutes when he made that statement. And then we got ambushed by the Taliban.
Oh.
Yeah, so when we got ambushed by the Taliban, the firefight was so intense to an extent where we couldn't contain them anymore because they were just coming in numbers and numbers. So my boss told me to stop firing the weapon and jump to the driver's seat so that we can extract the area.
Wow.
And when we were doing that, it was because we had called air support from the Americans. So the air support came from the Americans and we were able to extract. But now when we were extracting, it was roughly about 6:30 to 7 p.m. So it was pitch black. And when you're in Afghanistan, when you're driving, you can't switch on your headlights, because when you're switching on your headlights, that is, you're a huge target to the enemy, because remember, you're in a war zone. They can fire to you, they can fire an RPG. So I had my helmet on and I had something called a night visions on. So you put them on your eye, on one eye, and you could see the road clearly like it's during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So when I drove about 50 meters away from the place, I drove over an IED, improvised explosive device. And when I drove away, from there, I can't remember anything. I just found myself in the UK, in hospital. Yeah.
So you experience a very heavy combat on this day, and the next thing is you found yourself in UK in the hospital. Mm-hmm. Wow, David, these are things that we watch in the movies, or you never come across. Well, you hear about them, but to meet someone who's actually lived that experience is something, it's very insightful, and once again, it's courageous, for you to have gone through that experience and lived through it, So how was it for you when you woke up in London?
It was a hospital in Birmingham. So we have a military hospital in Birmingham. And I remember when I woke up, the first thing that I did was I was looking for my weapon. I was looking for my rifle. And that's because my mind, what I can remember is being in Afghanistan.
Mm.
So when I woke up, I didn't know I was in the UK. But when I was looking for my rifle, that's when the nurses came around me and they pinned me down and they told me, look, you've been seriously injured. You need to stay still. You're in hospital in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So it was a very tough time and tormenting time mentally and physically just during that time, because what happened was my leg was pretty badly damaged. I had fractured 8 vertebrae on my lower lumbar spine. I'd broken my 2 collarbones. And and I damaged my left-hand side wasn't functioning properly. Yeah.
Okay. So at what point did you know about your leg?
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately. What the doctors came and said to me was that my leg is pretty damaged, and I should consider for amputation, and I refused.
Hmm.
And I told them, look, you can do as many surgeries as you want to try and save my leg, because it's one thing being born with disability, because that's the life, and it's one thing when you were born with two legs, or you have all the parts of your body, and then you've suffered this horrific accident like the way I was involved in a bomb blast. Then someone comes and tells you, like, look, we need to get rid of your leg. So it doesn't work properly. So, and me being African, we don't believe in such things. We believe in prayers. We believe, what, we can fight through this. But me refusing to do the amputation then really caused a lot of damage for me, because they told me, if you're not careful, your whole leg will be affected. So the earlier you do it, the better. So see, like, I was having surgeries after surgeries to try and repair my leg.
Yeah.
But now it got to 2016 January, where my leg just couldn't, it was numb. So I had to go for an emergency amputation, and that's when they got rid of it.
Right. And what's going on in your mind at that time? How did you reconcile to the fact that I need to actually have this leg amputated?
There's so much. I developed my war post-traumatic stress disorder in 2014. So by the time I was getting my leg amputated, it was, I nearly committed suicide twice, because at that time you're fighting the demons in your head about the war, and at the time you're fighting your injury. And there's nothing worse like war post-traumatic stress disorder, because you're trying to get rid of the past as much as you can, but it's just the way the past just can't the past just can't, it can't leave you. You keep on fighting the demons every single night, and I think the most challenging thing for me was I didn't want to accept what I was going through, because I'm a man, and as men, we tend to hold so many things inside us to an extent where we feel like if we talk about them, we'll be deemed as weak.
Yeah.
But there was a wise man and a good friend and a doctor who told me, the minute you start accepting what you're going through and start speaking about it, it doesn't make you weak, but it only makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that concept, But when I started accepting the situation, how I was about my leg, about my PTSD, and starting to get the right help, that's when I realized, you know what, this is not something that's going to kill me. Anyone who's going to be in this situation and they speak about it and people judge them, they shouldn't care, because I always say, don't ever let people's perceptions become your reality.
Yeah.
Because most of the time we live in such a cruel world and a society where if you speak about mental health, or if you speak about something that you're going through as a man, people start deeming you as weak. So that is when I just decided, you know what, it's my life. I need to get better. And I just started talking about it, getting help from my psychiatrist, up to date.
Okay. Wow. David, it's deep. I can feel it's really intense, you know, and I can feel I feel sad for the experience. But then again, I find you courageous that at some point you did come through and said, you know what, I need to get help. I need to accept the situation. And like you say, the sooner we accept what's going on, the sooner we start sorting out what needs to get sorted. And you also mentioned that it's your life at the end of the day. It's whether people deem you weak or not. I always say to people, we sort of worry so much about what people think, what people will say, but at the same time, while you're worrying about what people think or say, you are the one who's experiencing the situation. So get help when you need it, because there's no shame in pain, you know, there's no shame in saying that I'm not okay and I need help. So the PTSD, David, how did it affect you and those around you? Because I do know it comes with some issues sometimes. How did it affect you and those around you?
I think PTSD contributed to so many things.
Mm.
And for me, I don't look at it as a sad story or a sad journey. I look at it as a blessing.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. I look at everything that happened to me as a blessing, because it affected so many people around me to an extent where I didn't know how to deal with it with the people close to me, because I was put away farther and farther and farther.
Yeah.
And I realized it was already too late. The people who genuinely loved me at a particular moment in time, they no longer want to be associated with me.
Yeah.
And that is what war post-traumatic stress disorder does to so many veteran soldiers out here.
Yeah.
We are built in a different way, where we feel we don't need to speak about these things. You know. And for me, I pushed so many people away. My life was at risk. I was drinking heavily. You know, I was taking some things which I wasn't supposed to take, you know, just to try and numb the pain.
Yeah.
When you're trying to numb the pain with things like alcohol and stuff like that, it doesn't help at all, because you numb the pain for a few hours and then the past starts haunting you again.
Yeah. And I just wonder how I know you said you've been seen a psychiatrist and you saw one. How did you find that, or how do you find that?
It's good, because I still see my psychiatrist up to date.
Yeah.
It's been how many years now? It's been almost close to 8 years, and I'm still struggling the same way. You know, but I'm in a place where right now, when I'm facing these demons, I know how to control myself. So I know how to take my mind to a safe place where I know I can't harm myself. You know, I take my mind to a place where I'm like, you know what? God never gave me this to suffer. God gave me this to educate people and inspire.
Yeah.
So if I can take whatever is going on around me, and look for the positive in it, it becomes useful and purposefully for the people that I need to speak to.
Yeah.
For me, that is how I look at how I lost my leg, about my PTSD, challenges that I face. I don't look at them like something that's destroying me. I look at them as something that is just building me stronger and stronger each and every day.
And I've heard you before talk about the role your daughter played in your, when you were going through the PTSD and you were in a dark place. Would you mind telling our audience about that, if that's okay with you?
Yeah. So my daughter, one day, I was really struggling. And she came up to my room one day and she just told me, Dad, you know what? I know what you're going through, but I still love you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when my daughter said that, and I was like, you know what? I need to get a grip of myself. go to the bathroom, look at the mirror and say to myself, you know what, I'm not going back, because if this beautiful daughter of mine can see what I'm going through, and let's say I go ahead and commit suicide the way I'd planned to do on those 2 suicide attempts that I tried, she will grow up without a father, and I will be unfair to her, because I'm someone that my both parents gave me the best that they could.
Yeah.
Although me and my dad, we couldn't see eye to eye because of the dark things that I was doing back in Kenya when I was still a footballer. But he was trying to educate me to be a better man. So, and as I said to myself, you know what, I'm not going back. This is from now on, it's just looking forward. So since I've just been taking step by step and slowly by slowly, because at the end of the day, I look at it like when you're doing something in life, you know, before you try and build your wall, you have to start laying a brick.
That's true.
You know, and so I just started laying a brick day by day, every day. Up to now, I'm still building my wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So yours has been a journey of courage, a journey of finding the strength, even though you're going through the difficult times. You know, you talked about wanting to commit suicide twice. Would you say you saved yourself at the same time, or did someone save you?
The first time, the police officers, because I was driving on the motorway, they came and blocked my car because I was over speeding, and they charged my car to the side of the road. The second time, I drank alcohol with some tablets.
Wow.
And I just wanted to die peacefully.
Yeah.
But and I just guessed that the reason why these things didn't happen or go to plan the way I'd planned them, is that God has a plan for me up to date.
Yeah.
God has a purpose for me.
Yeah.
And what's right now is to make sure that when I look at my situation, me being an amputee and disabled, and suffering from more post-traumatic stress disorder, I've taken those things and painted them with gold.
Yeah.
So when you paint anything with gold, when people look at you, it's shining. So I'm using that shine of painting my scars just to inspire and motivate other people who might be in the same position as me.
Yeah.
Do different things in life.
Wow. Wow, David. Have you had any changes? What are the changes that you've had to make to adjust and adapt to your new life as a single leg amputee?
Doing what I can, the things that I can do which are out of my control, stress about them.
Wow.
If I'm given a task, or I know I want to achieve something, I know it will take me longer than someone who's healthy and able-bodied.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you will get at the finishing line. He will get to the finishing line before me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that I'm right behind him. So we'll accomplish the task the same way. So I look at it this way. I don't tend to stress out on the things that are out of my control.
Right.
I tend to concentrate on what I can do and use my ability to my strengths, which is this, that God has given me as a motivational speaker to stand in front of thousands, and like 1,000 kids or 500 kids.
Yeah.
I go to schools all over the UK. You know, that is something that if you would have told me that God was going to lead my life that way, I would have refused, because I was the type of person who was not courageous.
Oh, okay.
I was not someone who would stand and speak in front of people.
Right.
You see, now God has given me this strength where I can stand in front of students, 500 students or 1,000 students, and speak to them, you know, and become a voice for the voiceless, so that you can make sure that you just inspire. Because I read somewhere that the highest human act is to inspire.
The highest human act is to inspire.
Yeah, and that is what I live by.
Wow. So what I'm hearing, David, from your story is that you went through this experience, and one may think, like I said, I find it sad. However, you said that for you, you find this to be a journey where you feel that you, through your accident, through your life-changing injury, God has placed you in a position where you're able to inspire others to. And even though you didn't have the courage, here we are talking to people about finding courage in times of adversity through your story, and that you're able to motivate others. So although you had other plans, and although we might think of it like, oh, wow, that is really such a thing, you take it positively, and you're making a good, you're finding the positive, how you can impact others through your story, through your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I can say is my story is not sad. That's what I keep on trying to tell people. My story is not sad.
Yeah.
To other people, it's sad, but to me as an individual, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
This is a gift that God was guiding me to live the life that I'm living today, to try and make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing that I've come to realize as well is, as human beings, if you want to ever be to overcome adversity, there's nothing better educational wise like going through adversities in your life, because you learn something from it, you know. And I always say, anything bad that happens in life, there's always something positive in it. It's on you to find out what that positive thing is, for you to pick it out from that, and you make sure you run away with it, and live a positive life or inspire other people.
Yeah. Right. So David, when you go around to talk to the young people in the schools, what are the things some of them ask you or tell you? Because we've had this chat before, and what are some of the things they say to the young people or the people you go to motivate?
It's quite funny because I get all kinds of questions thrown my way.
You're right.
But when I speak to the kids and to this young generation is, you know, we've got so many things around us where, you know, negative things. We've got cyberbullying, we've got internet trolls, we've got, you know, so many things that are distracting not only the young generation, but even people who are adults. I find it so difficult to deal with them. And I think we live in such a cruel world now where we can have friends, but we are in competition with one another. And yet people forget that each one of you were born naked. Your mom bathed you, mom clothed you. And when God says our purpose is done on this earth, someone will bathe us. And people will give us our last send-off. So I always tell people, if you put reality things in your head and in your mind, you won't start doing things to impress other people.
All right.
You will start doing things to make you to be a better person. Each and every day that you wake up and you go outside there and you do something, you want to make sure you leave an impact. So when I speak to the kids, I tell them not to concentrate on what other people are saying about them.
That's true.
And this is what I said to you before, that I like this quote a lot and I keep on using it.
Yeah.
I tell people, don't let people's perception of you become your reality.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, because the world we are living right now, there's so much that is going on that is so bad. And I always tell people, let's learn to appreciate one another when we are still here. Because I keep on saying, it's so funny that we are talked down in life, but talked up in death. When I'm here and I'm doing positive things, and you're doing something to encourage other people,
yeah,
instead of people encouraging you to keep on doing what you're doing, they're trying to put you down. But when you die, that is when the same people, they want to say how you were up in society or the community.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for me, I don't take that. I tell people, let's encourage one another when we are still here. Don't wait for you to die and you start saying how David was great.
Yeah.
It won't help me.
Yeah, true.
But when you encourage me to keep on doing what I'm doing, it only gives me more strength to keep on pushing. And when I speak to these young kids, I just tell them the way it is. I don't sugarcoat anything. I'll tell them the reality of life. And the questions they ask me is that things that do come up most of the time is, how many people have you killed in the war zones you've been?
Well, it's not funny, but it's funny.
So, and then they ask me, then when I answer them with how I give them the response,
yeah,
start asking me serious questions like, how do you overcome adversity?
yeah.
How do you do it each and every single day? How do you motivate yourself to wake up every single day? For me, I always tell people, I don't look for motivation from anyone. I don't look for anyone. I look up to myself. I motivate myself to be the best version I can be.
That's true.
So.
Right. Yeah. So you don't look for motivation from anyone. I would say, is it the same as I don't compete with others? I compete with myself. Not so, but compete with myself to be the best version of myself. And I like what you say. Don't let people's perspective of you become your reality, because this is something that people really suffer with. Taking this to be their reality, what people think of them. So David, that person right now who's going through a hard time, they're discouraged, they can't find the courage, they're finding it difficult to wake up, things don't look like they are going the way they'd like to go for them, what would you say to them?
Just to take you back a little bit, is not perspective. It's don't let people's perceptions of you become your reality.
Yeah.
Don't let what people think of you become your reality. Don't
That's
start
true.
your life with what they say about you.
That's true.
I always say to everyone, we all have a gift. God gave us something that is inside us to make sure that we be successful. And why people become successful is because those people have found out what their strengths are.
Okay.
So just look for what is positive in your life. Look at your strengths, and make sure you just don't give up each and every single day. Yeah. Sorry. Back to your question. Sorry.
Yeah. So I was saying, I can see people are joining. Let me just read the comments. Someone says you're an inspiration. Kangeda Elizabeth says other people should not define who you are. What else do we have? I know somebody else said, Flavin said, God is faithful. He's brought you this far. It's a testimony. It's too deep. My question was, David,
yes,
somebody somewhere is going through a hard time right now. Right. And you are telling us that we can find courage in adversity. What would you say to them?
I would say to them, that's why I said there's no better education like adversity.
Yeah.
When things are happening good in your life and things are just working out for you, you will never realize, or you will never learn from anything that is good that is happening to you. You can only learn from the adversity that you face in life. And if someone is going through a tough time, I always say, because people are different, there are some people it will take time for them to try and overcome what they are going through.
Yeah.
People who will get overwhelmed by what they're going through and they decide, what, I want to end my life. one thing that I always tell people is the life that God has given us, we have only one life. We don't have a spare part. So when God has given you this gift, I always tell people that life is precious, fragile, very unpredictable.
Right.
Tomorrow is not a given right, it's a gift. So when you're still here and God has given you that breath inside you, try and as much as you can to make sure that you make the best out of your day, because there's people who don't have that opportunity. There's some people who didn't wake up today. There's some people who are in hospital right now. They're in a worse situation than you can even, So when you've been given that opportunity, as much as things might look tough, you have to rise up and make sure you say, you know what, enough is enough. Because there's no one else who can tell you to do something other than yourself. You're the only one who can motivate yourself. If I come to you and I preach to you, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, and you've not accepted and you want to do it, you will never change.
That's true.
So change has to start with you.
That's true.
What you're going through, the circumstances, and you paint those circumstances and whatever you're going through with gold, just like me. I paint gold, and make sure that you just use them to the best advantage that you can and live a positive life.
Wow, that's really good. That's really good. David, let me take you back to the bit where you talked about your psychiatrist, because we had a young man come last week and he was talking about his experience of depression. And I know through PTSD, you say that you went through depression. What would you advise the men? Because one of the things that was apparent is that men don't like to talk. However, men are also, they have emotions, they have feelings, they have pain, they experience pain as well. What would you advise any man that is going through a hard time right now and is finding it difficult to speak and say, you know what, things are not as good or they need help?
What I would say to men is, remember, it's your life. It's your life. It has to start with you. There's no shortcut about it. You have to accept, look, I need help. Speaking about getting help doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave, because the people who are around you, when they see you speaking about these things, they will get encouragement, because now you've become a voice for the voiceless to an extent. If I sit here and I say, oh, things are okay, but I'm not okay, I'm not helping anyone, I'm just destroying myself. And all of us, we have beautiful people who love us, So it's just a point of men should start talking when they're struggling with depression. The only person who is going to judge us when it's all said and done is God, not a human being.
True that, though.
And I think for us, we also need to realize that, look, I'm just as human as someone else. If someone is going to judge me for speaking out, well and good, because you are not brought on this earth to try and impress other people. You are brought on this earth to live your life and to use it to the best capability that you can to make an impact on this earth.
Right.
So for me, I would say, come on, men. Men should start talking and start sharing their experiences, because I always believe everyone has a story.
That's true.
People who become successful and inspire other people through their stories are the people who've been brave enough to speak about them.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. We should start learning how to speak.
That's true. Very good advice. Very good advice. So, David, as we wrap up, would you say, how did your family, your extended family or your family, how did they cope with your injury, your situation when things changed for you? How was it for them?
To be honest, I was in a space where I wasn't thinking about anyone else. I was in a space where I was just thinking about myself and becoming selfish, you know, because sometimes there are certain things when they happen to you in life, you feel like it's the end of the world, you know. So I just developed this habit where I was selfish to other people. You know, I was not doing the right things. You know, I was feeling like there's nothing that or anyone who's going to tell me anything about how to change my life and how to go about my circumstances than me. But when I realized that, wait a minute, there's more important things to life than just myself, you know, where I look at my daughter, my son, I'm like, you know what? I want them to have a dad. You know, I don't want to be selfish and commit suicide or do something drastic that's going to affect them, that they didn't know who their father was, or, you know, just spend time with their dad like the way my dad gave me that opportunity until when, you know, when he lost his life. So that's how I look at it.
Right. David, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Is there anything you'd like to add to our audience? You've really been inspirational. I always say to you, you're inspirational. You motivate me. I know you say you don't look out to people who motivate for others to motivate you, but I find you very motivating because you've been through a life-changing experience and you've come out strong and you're out here giving courage to those who are going through a difficult time and telling people that through the adversity, they can find courage. Is there anything else you'd like to add for our audience?
Yeah, there's a quote I wrote this morning and I put it on my phone, on my notes.
Okay.
And it says, sometimes we think the challenges we are faced with are never ending. The key to face each challenge head on with no excuses. Lead yourself step by step. Don't stop and never quit. In the end, you will have become the master of your own destiny.
Wow. Wow.
That is the quote that I would like to finish off with. It's a quote that yeah.
Wow, David. So if anyone wants to invite you to speak to motivate people, how can our audience get in touch with you?
So I'm on Facebook as David Etale.
Okay.
And I'm on Instagram as Dave Etale. And then my email is davetel27@yahoo.com.
Right. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to David. We've been honored. We are honored, and we feel very privileged to have sat and be encouraged by you. Thank you to our audience. Join us next time for another episode of African Women Empowerment Network, where we believe that if we empower one woman, we empower a generation. If we empower another woman, we empower a nation. David, it's been a pleasure. We appreciate. We don't take it for granted that you sat here with us. We know you do a lot of work, and we are very, very privileged to have sat with and to have listened to you. Thank you, our audience. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Until next. I appreciate David. Until next time.